Joining us now, former New York City Police Commissioner Ray Kelly, now a distinguished visiting fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations. Commissioner Kelly, it's great to see you again, and this is obviously a very complex investigation. Do you think that the police now have broadened the search area for any clues? Obviously, the park is a difficult target, fewer cameras there. But how would you be approaching it? Take us behind the scenes.
Well, they say now that they have some DNA samples. Obviously, that's a major achievement. I think that it's inevitable that this individual will be identified very quickly. Just think about this picture being on a front page or near the front page of every newspaper in America, on every TV station. I mean, it's total saturation. So I think the department has done a good job in getting this information out. I'm glad they're not holding too much back. I'm sure they're holding some things back. But I believe now they are maybe close to being deluged by people calling and thinking they identify this person, thinking they recognize him in some way, shape, or form. And even that is going to be very demanding because these leads have to be followed up. But I've never seen a distribution of someone's picture or information about them to this extent in any case that I remember.
Yeah, it takes us back to the Tsarnaev brothers, the Boston bomber, and the way, CTV footage and coverage has changed, has advanced since those years. Obviously, it raises privacy concerns, but right now what we're really concerned is finding this man. What does it tell you? I mean, what is your takeaway as to whether this was a professional hit job, whether this is an amateur? He, seemed to know how to handle a gun, unjammed it, but he didn't know that the silencer would jam it. He let his face be shown when he was flirting with the desk person at the hostel. He went into a Starbucks. I mean, he didn't disappear like a professional hit guy.
Exactly. He made a lot of mistakes. I think he's a motivated amateur. He did some things that were right, but, a lot of times the criminals in general have no idea how many cameras there are, certainly in New York City. It's about 18,000 cameras, most of them centered in Midtown Manhattan. So there's a lot more pictures than they've been shown about this individual doing various things. So as I say, I think it's inevitable that in short order he's going to be ID'd. Even the gun itself is unusual. It looks like a version of an old World War II German gun. And if this individual was a gun aficionado in any way or a gun club, that will be clearly identified. And as far as the backpack is concerned, I mean, obviously that's a reservoir. It's a big lake. That's where the bag could be. I know they did a cursory search of the park and they didn't find it, but I would bet that it's in that lake.
Now, there's been a lot of hostile social media, postings against the healthcare industry. His wife, Penelope, said that there had been some threats of some kind. Did it surprise you that a CEO of this magnitude did not have personal security? And we know now that others in the industry are taking down pictures of prominent executives from their websites and are increasing security.
Well, his word now that he had security with him, but he left early. He went out on his own. Don't forget the shooting happened at 6:45 a.m. For whatever reason, he left the hotel, the Warwick Hotel, across the street, and looked like he was coming into the Hilton Hotel to check and see if arrangements were in place for him to speak. What I would like to know is what was in that speech, what he was going to say. I don't know if there's prepared remarks or what, but the shooter obviously did not want him to get in and make that speech. That's one of the possible motivations as to why this shooting took place. You know that Mr. Thompson was being investigated for insider trading. We don't know what that means. Are other people involved? Or is there information that could have come out at this briefing that he was giving investors that could have impacted on other people, other employees? So there's a lot, of course, that we still don't know, but it's starting to come together. And yeah, it is unusual that someone like him did not have security, but we're told now that he just probably just did a quick run over to the hotel to see if everything was in order. And this individual somehow knew about that and knew about the door that he was going to go in. I know you know that Hilton Hotel has multiple entrances, and he was at the right door, the right location. So yes, there's a lot that we don't know, but there's so much information out now on this individual that I'm pretty certain he's going to be identified pretty soon.
And finally, what do you make of the clue or misdirection from what was scratched on the cartridges of defend, deny, depose? Is that a lead, or is that trying to, send the police in the wrong direction?
That's an excellent question, because we don't know. Was that something it's kind of a standard phrase apparently in the insurance world? As we know, a book was written with that title in 2010 about the insurance industry and, generally speaking, their refusal to answer claims, to make payments. So I think you're right on target. Was that put out to throw off the investigators, or was it really the something behind the motivation that brought this shooting about? So we'll have to see.